Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
We already went through these all things, the basics ones, the schedule setup, the process of hire to the payroll, the important terms. We have completed the basic scheduling access profile, our organization set of which is business structure. Now, we need to move a crucial paper. We will talk later as we have already started the common setups over here. Common setup. Today we will talk more about common setup. Let's go to this setup. And we talked about three of the things like I do not remember what. Are the topics really specific? We will revise those quickly. Comments, something which you see or any kind of comments which you see or which we see into the application that you can configure over here. Any kind of comments which we can put, like we can put comments on big codes, we can put comments on the punches, any even for the absence of exceptions, break exceptions, any kind of exceptions or anywhere we can put. But there are your categories to put, and those categories are this absence exception, absence, span activity, event break, exception, employee, call, log, pay codes, punches, pay from schedule requests. The places where you can put the exception or these, and based on this category, we create the respective comments. It's not like comments can be used only at one place. We can create comments that we use multiple space. As you can see, these particular 1 to 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Comment we used in the place of absence, span out, punch, exceptions, and pay codes. Now, in order to create, you will go to New and you will select. You will type the name and then you will select at which particular category we want to use the exceptions. Exceptions is a comment is done. Let's talk. I'll try to find. Also, I think we have to delegate and profile. Delegate profile is like if you are going on a leave and you want to delegate means you want to transfer your credentials to someone else who can take care of all your things or your belongings. I'll say things. That means you would be able to sign off the employees under him, approve the request, take action on them, do the transfer, check their time part and update those things. The things which basically you do as a manager, those things can be done by the person whom you will delegate. That is our delegate profile loops. But there is a catch in the delegate profile that if you want to transfer your delegate profile to me, that means you and me both should be in the same delegate profile. As the only catch, or there is the only thing we need to remember whenever we are creating a delegate profile. Now the hyperfine. The hyperfine is another hyperfine. The hyperfine are something which will give you the details based on the condition, whatever you will select. Its hyperfine is like whom we can see based on the condition. Condition is something like exactly what you are working at this location, having that particular approval profile, having that payroll, this pay code, and all other things. All the condition you wanted to create. You can create based on the conditions. It will fetch out or give you a list of employees, and then you can use that particular list in order to take action. Let's say, for example, you want to sign off the employees working in India. We will make a condition working in India employee is not signed off active as of now because we don't do sign off or determinate it. Active. As of now, we will condition which will come together in order to, let's say, give you the list of employees, and then you will select all those employees and do the sign. Now the types. There are 3 types of hyperfine. Some details like some list of employees. A list of something can be used by every single person. If you want to use, you can use. If someone else want to use, that person can also use. It will be globally accessible whenever someone will log in into the particular company's grown over account. That is known as the public hyperfine. This hyperfine are available to everyone. It is what public. Now the next one is private or post. This one is specifically for you. For the person who has created or whom they have assigned. That will be post or one. You can only use that particular thing. No one else would be able to see. That is public, private, and post. What about ad hoc? Ad hoc high to find. Basically session based. What session means? Session means if you log in, the session will install. If you log on, the session will end. These ad hoc high profile will remain. Once you log in, you will create a file with the ad hoc type. And once you can use it in between, until and unless you log on, it will be there for you. We already talked about 3 types of high and public, private, and ad hoc. Next is we have many conditions. Now we will relate this condition. Like as we said, we need an Indian employees who are not signed off and are active as of now. There is no relation with it, that if you don't create any relation, active employees will give active employees for all over the globe. Indian employees will give Indian employees, doesn't matter whether they are active or terminated or anything. In that scenario, we will get different or n number of employees which I have not satisfied our condition. In that scenario, we have 3 options to connect to them. If I'm saying we wanted to connect to them, that means we will be using this and or not. In order to make the relation between those conditions, it should be cut the shirts. Now what does and do? The work of NEA's H, both. These are the two. The condition should be true and means both the conditions should be true. Then we have R, or means a single condition can be true. Like any one of the two conditions can be true. That means R. Like anyone. Either there are two conditions A or B. Either A can be true or B false, or B false, or B false, or B true and A false. If any of the condition is true, the system will work properly. Now it's not always in Kronos or in the conditions hyperfine condition that you will find the negative condition also. We don't find those things. If you want to make the negative of that particular condition, we use not. Let's say we want the active employee and we don't have the option to make the not active employee or terminated employees. For the terminate employees, what will? We will select not active employees. That will basically give you the terminated employees. This is what basically we do using not. And or not at three particular conditions or options are available for us in order to play with conditions. Now let's see. Hyper. If you create hyperfine here, you can see you want to get a ad hoc. But you know, what does that mean? It's not unless you're logged out. This type of fine will be there once you log out the app of a waste on. No, we don't want to. Once you click no, you can see the visibility. Personal and public comes. It's predictable now. You can select whether it's a personal one. See, you can see only you will be able to see the type of fine. Public means this type of fine will be difficult to others. This type of fine will be safe for later. And if you say yes, something is changing now. But this type of fine will be difficult to others. The 5 more families for home. Now let's talk about the home employees. What does home employees mean? APO assigned to a certain or equal or state. Let's say that state will be your home. And the employees working within that state will be your home employees. That means your home employees means what all stores access you have, and you will have list of that employees only. Well, let's say you are an Indian. Your home account is India. You will see the list of employees of India only into this particular type of fine. Got it? That is what home employees do. Usually we don't create home employees because we want the managers to take us off the accounts of the location which is not their home account or home location. We don't or we avoid to create home employees kind of high or fine. How we add condition? We click on add conditions and then we have n number of options available. Search. There are lots of things. Let's move them to them. Click on add. Here you go. We have the condition. Now let's talk about and people, employment, status, acting and payroll, and now we have 3 conditions. By default we will have and doesn't what option to connect. This is a default one. If you want to change it, click both. Click on R. Now it's R. You want to make it not, click on it. Exclude and not as saved. This is how we do. If you want to remove all the grouping and group R. If you want to, let's click it R. And then if you want to ungroup, click on it to save, and this is how we delete. Click on it, delete it. That's how we create the hype. Nothing much about type of hype. Once you are done, you save as you save. Or if you want to add in between any condition, there is an option over here. You can add it. Now, yes, I don't want to save. This is all about the hype of fine. Now let's talk about how we give the hype of fine access. There are 2 things or 2 ways. That is 2. Hyperfine profile and query manager. These are the 2 ways we can give access of Hyperfine. Let's talk about query manager. Query manager is used to find out what all Hyperfine access is that person or manager has. And we assigned one by one to other by one. It's a state for what we need that. Query manager has to work or it helps us in 2 ways. First, it should tell you what all Hyperfine access you have or someone else have. Anyone, any particular person. Second thing, from there we can assign and Hyperfine access to someone else. These are the 2 things which we do using query manager. First, we can see what a Hyperfine access that particular manager has, and then we can assign one by one. This is a way of assigning a Hyperfine one by you, correct? Now what about if someone wants to assign a group of Hyperfine which is created for certain region? If a region has X like 10 number of Hyperfine, which is 5 different ways to assign to that person, what we will do. And let's say there are n number of simple, that's a 50 employees are there, and you have created a Hyperfine. What you will do? You will go to the query manager assigned one by one. No, that's the picker. In order to overcome that thing for a smaller range, you want to remember you can go with query manager assign the Hyperfine. But that Hyperfine needs to be assigned to someone in order to use the query manager. That's one more thing we need to remember. Query manager will only show you the Hyperfine which is assigned to someone, but you need to know who has that Hyperfine assigned to its profile. Otherwise, you will not be able to find that Hyperfine into the query manager list. That is what Query Manager has a drawback. We can say it's not very friendly. Now the hyperfine, which are not being assigned to someone, as how we assign those. We will go to the hyperfine profile. There's another way to assign the hyperfine profiles. Using the hyperfine profile, we group hyperfine and then we assign those or these profile to the managers. It's a straightforward. You pick up those hyperfine and create group. Once your group is ready, you assign. That group is basically the profile. Once your profile is ready, you assign that profile to the home, to the managers. That's how you give access to a group of hyperfine. See, it'll just give you the old hyperfine profile. Click New. There will be a list of hyperfine files you'll search. You can move all hyperfine. You want to take it with your side. You'll do it inside with your side. This is the group. Tonight I'll do it. PIFST is a group of hyperfine or material hyperfine profile, which if you assign this particular hyperfine profile to someone, you have to have the access of those things, those hyperfine. Now, this is all about the hyperfine profile. Let's say for a query manager. I'm in the query manager. We will search. Now you can see Avra Ali C has Canada leave and the cashier also has Canada leave. Oh! Now the Abu test has Pretty. Now let's assign this to Avra Ali. Assign Valerie. Now this time she says, see, Avra Ali has Pretty and Canada leave. This is our way aside. Oh, I'm just clipping search with a star. You can type the name. And then you will find the list of type. You find that for your person, as in the new game. Assign those to and other employee. Now the next thing, which I am. Just want to delete. Just click on this one. This is all you assign or delete the hyperfine 1 and 1 to for being assigned to an employee. I hope you guys understood this one. All. Now let's talk about the other things. Let's go to the document. Now comments, still comments. We are good comments for probably same like adding the things, grouping them together and giving the access. Event manager and event process. Event manager. And what does event managers do? Event manager is basically a place where we can see all these scheduled events. Yes, it's about scheduled events. Event is like if you want to make a couple of important night age, you will make an event manager or schedule that event. That is how. The event manager. Your event manager will give you a list of comments. Because if you want to duplicate, you can duplicate the things. Once you have duplicated, you can change the schedule, events timings, start it, render it, event details, whatever you want to make this change, and it's very easy. It's not like something which we need to remember. It's just like you will see the list of options, how you want to schedule that particular event. Weekly, monthly, ugly ones. Now how? How many kinds of things you want to say? Basically a weekly on we jam Monday, Tuesday and hasn't had a good time. And when to start running this, when you want to end. These are the things which you need to understand. Now the event schedule. Now the concern would be this is for the duplicate process. Now you might be wondering how we create a new one. We cannot create a new one from here. It should be at the place. If you want to schedule a report, you will go to the report section. If you want to schedule an interface, you will go to an interface for integration page. What a particular thing you want to schedule, you will go to that place, and from that place, when you click to this one, then you will have a blank one, the blank page with those schedule names, and it is. Usually these things will come up automatically. You need to make changes with the event schedule, and there is almost an option to get that on an email. If you want, you just put it on the email. This is how it works. These are all details. We really come. I went from report. It should do things based on reports. No need to bother about it. It is very easy to schedule the things. And I think more about Event Manager. Now let's talk about the next 10 days. Before we go over the batch processing, under the batch processing you will see two items. Let's go over the batch processing. Or let it open. Under the batch processing, you can see two types. Batch event. Group. The bad group is not very much in part of your show. Batch task and batch events. These two things we need to understand. Now batch task. Now let's talk about batch tasks. Task is basically each job, each at each location for each week. Each job at each location for each week. We create a separate task for each particular kind of work, particular kind of job. You need to create respective jobs. And that job will be based on respective location. And that again will be based on the week. It's not like we will be creating a single one with the same thing. Now the task will be for each job at each location for each week. Now, for example, if we wanted to understand that store, 1 inch 2 are there. We want to create for week 1 and 2, 3 for the jobs. This is job. Well, if volume focus, labor focus are the jobs. These are jobs. Jobs are basically the task which you want to learn. Habit you want to do. Now the task will be volume focused. Now let's run. What was volume for us? Volume focus store 1 week. What volume focus store 1 week? Volume focus store 2 week to volume focus store 3 week. For store 1 week 3. Now as store 1 volume focus is completed for all 3 weeks, we'll move on to the store. Volume focus store 2 week. To volume focus to work to leave focus store to week 3. Now we can see at store 1 store both computed with week 1, week 2 per volume forecast. Now it's time to play it for the ever forecast. We again will start with store 1. Labor forecaster 1 week 1. Labor forecaster 1 week 2. Labor forecaster 1 week 3. Now store 1 is computed for week 1, week 3 for the labor forecaster 2. Labor forecaster 2 week 1, labor forecaster 2 week 2. Labor forecaster 2 week 3. This is how week 3 is the task, and similar way for each job at each location. For each week, week 3, it has a separate task. In real time in the system, there are n number or lots of tasks would be there which we need to take care. Sometimes you might get requests. Let's say you have played it till week 7. The stakeholder has changed the role and they now want it to be done for week 8. For week 8, we will get each and everything for each job at each location. It's not week 8, week 8. But remember, on a larger scale, where we have n number of things, and even though these things store 1, store 2, there can be n number of store, thousands of stores, and we need to play thousands of stores for week till V0 from week 0 to week 8. And that's a huge number of tasks which we need to play it, and if you miss that, system will not run properly. Now we read out about the tasks. These are the tasks. Now what is batch event? If you run one by one, then it's a difficult thing, and even the pages, there is no schedule option. We cannot run the batch task directly. We need to create a batch event for batch event. It's nothing but a group of things based on the retool. To be store based or it will be low. Sorry, as a location based, that is store. Store wise can be a group with the week, or wise can be a group with job type. Let's start a volume for past event. If you say about volume for past event, it will capture these things. With all 6, we'll go to volume for cost event. There is all things. We'll go on level first. And then using this batch event, we do to the volume for cost. Volume for cost event using this batch event action. We schedule it. And now, as I said, in order to schedule anything, what we use event manager. Event manager is a place, but using the event manager, we schedule things. Now let's see how we create these things usually in a real-time scenario. You are not required to click on you. What will you click something? Will you duplicate it? Once duplication is done, this is what you want: the existence of the value level for cost to our own, for cost to tracking pattern, or anything. Any kind of work which you want the system to do. Intervo do. Select that thing now. Its action name is basically the location, this store. You come up over here and see the progress map and you select, let's say I want to this, you select this same data. That's how they have selected RC. Now the parameter is /week 1 week to week the 1 week. One of a week you want to run. You will be using that. On. This is run. Now let's say we have created the all to all of them. We value for cost for store 1 for all 3 weeks. Labor for cost for store 1 for all 3 weeks. All in for gas for store 2 for all 3 weeks. Labor for gas for store 2 for all 3 weeks. We have group volume for cost in a single event and all the 6 labor for cost. That's the group is done in the batch. Even now we'll go to the batch event. Under the batch event it will go new. Remove all items we want to we will see. These are all 6 volume for us. Whatever we have data for store and store 2 will be here. And then we'll save it by putting a name. Now it's time to schedule them. I told you to schedule. We don't go directly to the event manager. We go from the place. Whatever we want to configure. If we want to configure reports, you want to get a batch event. Even you. Now look at, this is a similar page which we have seen when we went to the event manager. The sub adding will change, but the main adding is same event manager. And as I told you, the left hand side options with all the way SP auto pop wallet. If you want it to the email you will select or not, it will be the same place now. You will select what would be your frequency of schedule. Fill out all those. It is all those. Don't, you will save it. That's it. It will. The schedule will run based on whatever selection you have done. That's what about. Batch event on that day is batch group. This is new over. Your batch group is just a group of things that it will be usually done. We don't have that. We talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items. I think few more remaining rest are done for everyone, scheduling and other things. We won't be going through that now. Let's see one more thing. You might be thinking that we have a new schedule that jobs many batch tasks or batch events. Schedule that will run at its own time. What about finding the result? Because if you don't find the result, what is the use of configuring them to run? Well, it's obvious. If you will not be like, I will say, you will know whether everything works properly or not. Why we will cancel? I would be under system configuration batch jobs. This is what is meant to say batch job. Batch job list is a place where we see the results of batch job, batch event, whichever you have. Schedule over here. There are multiple categories. Schedule is why successful click on refresh. This is a batch job. The batch event. When it comes to batch job list, it becomes a batch job. Once it's a tutorial, you all the details. If there is any fail, pass or anything, you will be able to select those things. To-do tasks as a fulfill. If some may still click on it, you will take you and tell you the which particular batch task. And talking about batch task, which is volume. For first store 1 week, 1 month for first store, 2 week, 1 month for first store, 2 week the next. It will tell you which particular batch job you got. Batch task for fail. What are our pasts? And if you want to see the failure, one click over here. It's because it will do to the category of failure. There's nothing processing. I'd say. And only the success. We have only 1 week, which is running from. And this is how we check. Well, you understood that we usually run those things, the volume of past and all those things. And all the list of items which I have shown you. For shown you during in the batch processing batch task, when we are creating batch task, they have a number of action items. From there we select, like one of our other 4 paths, to schedule them to traffic patterns. City, 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 city. We have number of things which we will be doing that. Now then we will be. Why we use VAST? Batch processing. You can say we wanted to run those things and be you. But the thing is, can you imagine the immense pressure for immense time? Or there would be a lot of data getting manipulated during this process. If you are running a volume for patch, it might go more than 3 hours, for us 5 hours. Because we will be having lots of store and we need to give a data after calculating using the volume for first to labor focus or whatever type of actions you have selected. And then that things will reflect into the profile. That means it to really need more than 4 or 5 hours. Thing. The thing is it is used to run the things or run up, take the action outside. Only one thing we need to add outside the working hours or outside the business hours. We create batch processing and it usually 90% of the time, it should be run when your business RC is completed. Not into your business hours. If someone will ask you why we use batch processing, you don't correctly say we use business processing to run the events or tasks like volume for past labor focus. But you also need to specify we run those things outside the business hours. Then only that person will think you have done the configuration and you know about batch process. And we also talked where we find the result. In all the find result, we have batch. The next is this. This is just same thing which we are talking about, the same thing. We have, it's based on high profile. Example of high profile 1 and 2, 1 or any end or something. It's not required as now. We have these 3 things to learn now. Arts of operations. Base the college. The arts of operation will tell you the working arts of and particular store or putting their location. That's what arts of operation. Let's see arts of operation. And there would be 3 things, 3 tabs. Create regular arts. Regular arts. the regular timing when you will be working. Let's see something. The regular timing every day is 6 to 9. Sunday is 7 to 4. Saturday is 7 to 4. This is the timing of a store, a distribution center. The distribution center will be working based on this timing. This is the timing of open time, closing time, and particular department or particular location or store or something. During the week, whatever you select, the optional every day, one day is the other way is the other way. We will go to the written now once you play these things. Sometimes it may happen there will be the holiday and other things. If you want to override those things and on a special reason, let's say we get an election. During election, there would be some different time. Though we come up over a special event, kind of special things, special items, the holidays and other things which we wanted to create. That we do from here. Let's say Christmas. You have it during the Christmas 15 days. We will be following some different working time that we do over here. That we do from here. We will select from which particular day. Let's say Christmas, still a new year will be working just 3 to 4 hours in a day. We create this now. This is for special things, for as is for specific that override the regular, as now. Once you have created all those things. Now, once you have created all those things, it's time to assign. The assignment is only be done over here. You click on Assign As. You will select for which particular location you want to assign. Then you will select the regular as now. Let's see regular as if the system will ask you dates because when we were creating the regular as there were no dates. But when we were creating over, I do regularizing dates. Override will not ask you for date. Whereas regular as will ask you for date. From which particular date to which particular date this particular thing will happen. What it is? This is all about the answer, hours of operation. What it does, it will tell you. Basically, it will tell you will timing of an office or timing of a location. It will tell you the timings of an location. Yes, it will tell you the timing. Timing of and store timing of a particular date. Also, it will tell you if there is an exception or for a particular duration time. We can override that particular regular or basic working as if you are using a new one especially. This is done on customer timing, election time, on any other special event or something is happening. We use or then we assign the answer for operation that based on that. Like why we use for some operation if we don't tell that the store is opening for let's say 8 hours and one employee can work for 4 hours. If one employee can work for us, if you don't tell that the store will be open for 8 hours, how this system will know? We need to give the 2 employees a 2 resource to them. If it's a 12 unit, 3. If it's a 11 unit, 3. If it's a 5 minute, 2. It was 4 plus 1 for 4 hours and 1 hour. We need to tell the system like what is the who are getting out. Based on that, the system will predict and assign the resource or ask the system. You need to assign 2 more employees at the location. That's what is being used by the operations. Now, what are other things which we need to learn after us? Known places, and known IP address. Why simple this known places you use for mobile purpose? I find say mobile purpose, that means if should be company wants to extend. Like if you relaxation, that you can do the function and see a schedule using the mobile. There is a mobile application. There is an application. You can be dimension or you can. Which is used by the employees, by the managers of the employees. Basically, management, people are all employed by the employee. Now to see their schedule is see their leave account. Do the punches, do the transfer, and always. For that particular application mobile, it will be not good if they punch. They're in and out at any place you watch. And that's an area what they will do. They will sit at home and do the punch and punch out in the office. They're still late. They're sleeping in home doing rest playing. PS5 enjoying with the family, but still they will punch. The in and out time, that means they are in office, correct. In order to avoid these kind of things, the known places has come into picture. What does known places to under the known places? You define a store location basically. We mention the latitude and longitude of a store and we select the location to tell the system. This is what these stories. Let's say store 1 will select. We select the option select location and we select the store 1. And we put the latitude and longitude after that. There would be 2 options. There is 2 options for radio. The radius and the GPS accuracy tells threshold. Radius is within 50, you can do what are the things you want. GPS accuracy threshold and the good way to the range. There would be a range of circle and you can do the punch and punch out within that range itself. If it's the meter, the unit is meter. It's a 50-meter range. If you are within that 50 meter, that means your mobile is in. Within 15 meter, you can do the punches. You can do the transfer. But if you are outside the 50 meter, when you want people to do, that is the restriction which we can add using. These options are either use the guessed one by pen it or what hand the. How do we do it? Whether it is using GPS pipe, you are put here, but as you will be added. This is all about non-places. Basically, non-places is not about the system. It's basically we tell the system this is still latitude and longitude of location. And using that location radius, we create a circle. If some mobile any employee is within that radius, they will be able to punch in if are not inside the radius. They will not be able to punch in. That is what the non-places know in places too. A known IP address is something that is we let the system know. These are the IP address which are valid. And we can use those IP address. We will put the name, we put the IPv for start and at end or at 10 or 1.5 or 2. All those visits we put from the start to end. We mention those things only the system. Every system has their own IP address. Every connection has their own IP address. And then, unless you are within the range of that IP address, you won't be able to log it. And system will not let you use the features or use anything. This is like if you go to the office, you might see few things. In the office, let's say there are specific company portals and things, but which your company don't want it to be used outside. The companies or offices they will use this IP address restriction. They already know what all device they have. And they try to get the IP address for same for all those employees and all those systems, number of systems or the laptops they do. And then they come over here. If they put the restriction, you would be able to access those things, access those items. Using that particular devices which are in that IPLS. This is what we could get away. Thank you. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.